Greetings, everyone. This is the Hipster Snek, and today we are doing another Snekflix. Yes, we are eating good for video game-based movies as of late, as this past weekend I got to see Iron Lung, based on a game made by the same guy who did Squirrel Stapler, of all things. Yes, David Szymanski, that's my best shot at that, made a game, and Markiplier, the YouTuber, made it into a film. And let me just tell you that Iron Lung is yet another perfect example of when you look at something as corporate as Rotten Tomatoes and you see like the fans love it and the critics hate it. Yeah, it's going to be a good film. So the story basically is that there was this apocalypse event known as the Quiet Rapture, where the vast majority of stars and planets all disappeared except for 3 moons. And the one with the most potential is covered in an ocean of human blood. Now, putting aside the fact that that doesn't work in real life, because blood coagulates, it would turn into the scab moon, and that would basically be the end of the story. They have Markiplier as Simon, who is put into a welded shut submarine to explore the blood ocean. And they just kind of plonk you into this with about that much in the way of exposition. They throw you into the film, the narrator hits you with, here's the quiet apocalypse, here's the blood moon, have fun. He just gets dropped straight in. It's crazy fast. Like, they do not waste time getting to the point. In fact, this movie reminded me a lot of Buried, I think is what it's called, with Ryan Reynolds, where they have like maybe 2 sets for the entire film, and I suspect that's not too different for this, because they had like 3, I would say, throughout the entire movie. But I think that was kind of genius because it really captures that claustrophobia. And let me tell you, this is a horror film. If you were expecting Markiplier, wacky woohoo, mugs at camera, that's not what's happening here. He's actually playing it completely straight, and he does a great job. I was genuinely blown away. Like, I already know Markiplier can act. I've seen him. So seeing him in this lead, in this very serious role, was really cool. It was a very cool change in pace, and I think he nails it. So he's sent under the blood ocean, and they refer to him as Convict for a good leg of the film. You don't really get his name till like halfway into the movie, but his character is named Simon, just so you know. He goes around documenting things, and he can't really see outside because the ocean is made of blood. Shrug. So he has to like use this big, what he learns is like a huge X-ray machine to see through and actually like document what's around. And he's going around this map, like hitting the button, documenting, hitting the button, documenting. And eventually he returns and he's like, that was the deal, right? You know, you send me down, I come back up, you let me go. And they're like, no, we are changing the deal, and you are going to suck it up and deal. And at this point, things go crazy. Like, the early parts, despite the very quick dive, so to speak, into the plot, the early parts of the movie are very quiet. They're very quiet, they're very deliberate, and I actually applaud them for having the discipline to do so in this day and age. When he returns is when everything hits the fan. One of the things I will say is, I would argue the quality of a movie can be measured in one simple metric. If the movie is 2 hours long, but you watched it and it felt like you were there for maybe 20 or 30 minutes, you have an excellent movie. If you watch an hour and a half movie and it feels like it's the last 6 hours of your life, then you have a bad movie. And this one falls firmly into the camp where this 2-hour-long movie blew by in basically no time at all. Because you start getting this thing where he's like, oh, I see the skeleton down there. And they're like, oh, great, that could be a great sample. We could research that. That could be beneficial to the humans that are left after the doomsday event. And he's like, okay, well, what do I do? And like, well, we gave you this ramming arm. You just have to slam into it at full speed. And if you haven't put the dots together yet, you will. And all hell breaks loose. We go into a deep dive of psychological horror where there are several scenes where Simon is questioning himself. He's like, was that real? Was that fake? Was that in my head? Did that actually happen? Is there someone on the sub with me? Am I by myself? Then it starts going into the cosmic horror side of things, where like he has this rant at one point where he's like, what's more likely to have happened? Every single planet and star in the universe disappearing simultaneously, or a couple of space stations and 3 moons disappearing simultaneously? Like, which of those is the more likely outcome? So it's like your perspective of the story is called into question, which I think is really cool. The entire thing is just insane. It is insane in a good way. Let me say that. It has like a bit of psych thriller peppered in, because there are bits that make you recall your recollection of events, and there's bits where he'll like there was a bit where he taped the button down for the camera slash X-ray machine, and it was just firing automatically in the background. And if you pay attention, you can actually see some really cool details that foreshadow some stuff that happened later in the film just by paying attention. So really well played. Excellent, excellent dressing in that respect. And I gotta say, the set design is brilliant. The sub is just big enough where he can like walk front to back, but it's like maybe 10 or 12 paces front to back. And they give you all the information you could need, his coordinates, his oxygen levels, everything, and it's really easy to read. Kind of like a very gamey GUI. I don't 100% remember if the game's interface was identical to this or if it was a modified version thereof. But I loved the way they had it spread out. They did such a good job with it. So then, like, it just starts getting insane because he starts seeing this monster, and he's seeing he sees it as a skeleton, and he's like, it's looking right at me. It sees me. It knows I'm here. And then you start getting like these voices start talking to him through his radio system. And it's actually this really nice detail where, like, when the commander, this lady named Ava, contacts him over the radio, the light flickers. When this voice is talking to him, it doesn't. And, like, it seemed like such a minor detail, but it's actually huge. Like, I don't want to spoil it because this is so good. I had so much fun with this film. And this, like, the best part is the movie knows when to be quiet and slow and let you kind of just get immersed in what's happening. And I would say that especially in like the first half, it really leans into that, and I think it's to the movie's credit. Then in the later parts of the film, then you start getting this tension. I'm not to get into too many spoilers. He starts running low on oxygen. He has to be careful. He has to keep himself calm and in control so he doesn't burn air needlessly. He starts finding things. And he starts asking questions. He's like, wait a minute, this isn't matching up. And then he's having to deal with guilt over things that he was involved in that led him to being the convict slash like pilot of the submarine. And he starts asking the questions, like, where did everything go? What was the quiet rapture? Was that like an act of God? Was this some kind of physics phenomenon? Is it something way simpler? Is it all a lie? What does it all amount to? And it's just so interesting. I was completely enraptured the entire film. I loved what they did with this, and the fact that they were able to do it again with like 3 sets. The 99% of the film, you're just in the submarine with Simon the entire time, and that's where most of the story happens. Everything that's really actually like vital happens right there, and that there's some really good implied storytelling about like things that Simon finds, or like he ends up finding this pendant that ties everything into like these events that happened and everything that he was involved in. And it was just such an excellent setup and execution. And I don't want to spoil anything. I'm not going to have a spoiler section for this video. You owe it to yourself to see the film. Now, in terms of gripes, I had one. And this might have been theater specific. I don't know if this is going to be a universal experience or not. But there were bits where the sound mixing was a little hard to follow. because again, this is a psych thriller. So there's bits where like certain characters are talking simultaneously, and it kind of made it hard to follow at times. There were bits where like, oh, I'm trying to follow this one line of dialogue, someone else starts talking, then they get kind of like muddied together, and then I'm not sure who's saying what or like what I'm supposed to be taking away from the scene, and it honestly became a little bit frustrating at times. I was a little annoyed by that. I would rather have had a slightly clearer through line for those, or at least, like, I think this movie would probably be best enjoyed with subtitles. Like, it was really, I think those elements are really good. Like, having the multiple voices stacked on top of each other added to that air of horror, unrest, uncertainty, and having you question yourself. Because, like, I think like part of it is like not 100% knowing is kind of the point. Because the I will say like a lot of events are left ambiguous and up to your interpretation, and I think that's really cool. A plus. But again, there were bits where I just couldn't hear it, and I don't think that was the intention. I don't think they were shooting for the audio being inaudible in those bits. Now that was really my only complaint. Other than that, immensely entertaining film, great horror film, excellent execution, and I loved that they were able to. So most of the film is less is more, but the climax of the film is worth cost of admission, even if it's like a full price ticket. Go see this film. Absolutely, absolutely loved seeing it. It was so much fun. I enjoyed it, and I feel like this is one of those films that you're gonna get more out of on a repeat watch versus just what you get out of it the first time. But I think even just seeing it one time, you'll take a lot away from it after the fact. Now, we're gonna keep this short. Again, no spoilers. Go see the film. Loved it. A plus watching experience. Love to see people chase their dreams and do these indie projects, and to see them soar to the top of the charts is even cooler. That is everything I, as a fan of the indie scene, want to see. Now, regardless of how you feel about Markiplier, I would say excellent job. I think he nailed the role of Simon. There is a Jacksepticeye cameo, according to the credits. I didn't see or hear him, so I was either not paying attention or it's a blink and you'll miss it kind of thing. And there are some people that you will recognize in the credits if you follow his channel. So, really cool stuff. Go see Iron Lung. Final word on the matter. This has been the Hipster Snek, and I'm going to see you guys later this year with even more awesome Snekflix to talk about. And I'll see you there.